This episode of the Turf District podcast is brought to you by the Edmonton Community Foundation and the Well Endowed Podcast. Take a quick listen.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Bonkink.
I'm Andrew Paul.
And we're the hosts of the Well Endowed Podcast.
The Well Endowed Podcast is produced by Edmonton Community Foundation, or ECF as we call it.
ECF provides grants to charities through the endowment funds we create and manage with our donors.
Hence the title of our show, The Well Endowed Podcast.
Every month, we bring you a collection of stories and interviews with fascinating guests who are working to make Edmonton a strong, vibrant city to live in.
Through these stories, we look at the space where endowments intersect with your communities.
So if you're interested in the people and issues impacting your community, check out thewellendowedpodcast.com.
Enjoy the show.
Hey, fellas, we ain't gonna ever back down from nobody. I don't care who it is. This is a brotherhood. And if we stand strong together, we can't be denied. If one of us goes down, we have another, and another, and another that's ready to fight. So let's hit this field and bang them, bang them, bang them. Somebody, light me up.
It's time to huddle up. It's the Turf District podcast. Welcome back to the Turf District, where we huddle up to talk all things Edmonton Football Team and the CFL. We are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. I'm Andrew.
Oh, sorry, I'm Commissioner K. I was totally waiting for Mike's intro.
Second show in, and we're right on top of it as always. That's fantastic. Let's try that once again. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Commissioner K.
Perfect. All right. I'm leaving that in just so you know, because it's fantastic. Yes, usually we would have superfan Mike here with us. Unfortunately, he is feeling a tad under the weather, so it's just going to be the two of us, a different type of hostful for this evening. Happy Family Day, Commissioner K.
Happy. Oh my God, this is going to be a good one.
That's going to be we're going to get some great takes out of this one. I'm excited.
Happy Family Day to you too.
Yes. And what better way than to spend it with my family, my football family, online chatting, talking football. It's fantastic. Yeah. Yes. How's the last couple of weeks been for you? Well, wait a second. Maybe I should wait until we talk about the free agents, and then we can talk about how the last couple of weeks has been for you. Outside of that, how has the last couple of weeks been?
Outside of the steady decline that is my life. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my. That's so sad.
I mean, life really does not change anymore. So it's just me in my comfortable, beautiful chair that you see on the YouTubes.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Watching TV. And right now I'm watching Homeland. And that actually brings me joy and also a bit of paranoia because I think that people are watching me all the time now.
Wow. Wow. That's an interesting take to get out of a show. I don't know.
Oh. Yeah. Espionage, spies, I love it.
Okay, wonderful. Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to start. Did you think more about starting Sons of Anarchy?
Well, I want to finish. I was already into Homeland.
Oh, okay.
And what other one? See, it was so awesome. I forgot what it was. Whatever. I'm not watching it, so. But I want to finish Homeland first, and I'm almost done season 6. I got one more season, and I'll probably start on Sons of Anarchy, unless something else catches my eye first.
All right. Well, that sounds
Oh, speaking of which, I'm not even kidding me. Wow.
I can't wait to just leave this all together.
Oh, it's the caffeine.
Speaking of which, yes.
Sons of Anarchy. Mm-hmm. It just came across, Netflix has
the bar on the,
okay. Or the streams. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Literally, it just came up. It's
that's a sign.
Yeah.
You have to watch it. You don't have a choice now.
No, I don't. Apparently, Netflix chooses it for me.
That's right. Yeah. It's okay.
See, they are listening.
I was just going to say that. You were just saying about how you were paranoid. And obviously, yes, they are listening. Yeah.
They are.
perfect timing. Listening to me tell you to watch Sons of Anarchy. Anyway,
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Our main story this week, we kind of covered it on the YouTube Live, is of course the name finalists did come out since we last chatted. And there were 7 of them. This is in no particular order, just so that we're very clear that this is not how I ordered it. The Elements, the Elk, the Eclipse, the Evergreens, the Eagles, the Evergolds, and the Elkhounds. Now, of course, we went, like I said, a little deep on the YouTube Live and got some fan interaction there as well, talking about the name. But what's your fave?
I think it's still with the Eagles.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think that's going to be my favorite for the foreseeable future, unless something changes. I'm on board with the Elks.
Thank you.
We'll just change it for them.
Exactly.
Right. But like I said, I'm not mad at any of them. I mean, of course, there are some that I like way better than others, but I'm not mad, and that's a win for me. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And
like,
I was like, there was a few on there that took me by surprise that I didn't expect for them to be there, for sure. But it didn't change my mind out of ones that I already liked, which was Elk and Eagles. But I agree with you. It just needs to be Elks. If it's Elks, then, and I mean, come on, elks.com.
That's pretty rad.
It is
pretty close,
rad.
It's pretty close.
It is. It's close enough that there can be kind of that throwback, but there's also the throwback to the fact that those 7 weeks we had the name in 1922, I believe it was. Where's Superfan when we need him? And I really do. That's still my number one pick, as long as they add the S.
Yeah.
If it's just Elk, I find it like kind of drops off. But,
weren't they, like, back then, wasn't it a part of the Rugby Association too? If I'm not mistaken?
Yes, that's right. When they were playing back then, yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I just didn't know that, so I was when I was reading up on it, I was like, no, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Wow, I love history.
Yeah, wow. You can
Shocker.
step right in for Superfan Mike.
No. I forget things like 2 seconds later. I'm surprised I remember that. And I'm pretty sure it was 1923, but I could have probably wrong.
Okay, well, I'm probably wrong. I don't know. I know it was in the early 20s. That's all I know.
That's all we need to know.
That's correct, yeah. Exactly.
An approximate.
Whenever it's just you and me, approximation is perfect. Excellent. Wonderful. So yeah, go back. Check out our YouTube Live where we break it down a little bit more and have some fan comments and things like that. Lots to come on that. And I'm just hoping, as I said on there, it's time for everybody to just be, okay, let's move on. Let's get into what is the exciting part about this. The team is still there. The game is still there. And hopefully we get some games that we get to watch and cheer these guys on to more victories. That's really the bottom line.
And, I was kind of thinking, too, as a whole football organization from the CFL, like fans across the league, it would be nice to have some support coming from the other teams and their fans and just saying, like, look, guys, like, this is how it goes. Maybe you don't like the name, but we support you guys and we support the team and we support your organization because we are the CFL family. I don't know. I haven't really actually interacted on Twitter for that specific reason because I just can't handle people's negativity for much longer. But I don't know if you've heard any other fans or something just being, kind of on board with the name change and just supporting that and kind of backing up the organization and the fans who want to move on. I don't know if you've seen it, but, that would be very beneficial to just have our backs in some situations because, let's face it, there's no CFL without all the teams as we know it.
Absolutely. And you know what? I really want to thank you for saying that because that was one thing that I did want to touch on was the fact that, there are some people that were definitely in support of the name change and want to support us that are in with, okay, yes, this is the next step and away we go. There are some people definitely who are doing nothing but laughing at the entire situation or mocking the entire situation, especially once the name list came out. There was a lot of that I saw that it was like, well, here's the, here's the 7 names. Let's crap all over them. Like that's right. And to me, I'm like, well, you know what? If it was your team and you've been a fan for so long and you have accepted that there is going to be a name change, and yes, I want a list that I'm like, holy cow, I can't pick one out of these 7 names, like, because I love them all. Like, sure, I'd love to have that list. On the other hand, let's recognize that there is still a bit of a grieving process, and some people haven't even got past that stage of acceptance yet. And let's kind of work together on, okay, this is going to be okay, because we want all the teams, and we all want to be together and playing again. So,
well, and it's the same, like you said, with any other team. Like, for me, as a CFL fan, I would expect myself to try to support another team's fans in a situation that we can't control. Correct. Like we can't control it. So, let's just say the last year we had the CFL, the Argos were going through some stuff, and a lot of fans were just pointing fingers and, saying, well, it doesn't really matter if they're just going to go under, whatever. Well, okay, but why don't you, as a fan, if you're a CFL fan, how are you going to help the situation rather than, just, well, whatever, like, excuse my language, but on them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
get
it.
How does that help anybody? So that's just why I've kind of taken my break from Twitter, because I just couldn't handle it anymore. Like, I'm sorry, are you a fan, or are you just a shit stirrer? I don't.
I might have to leave that word in. I might not fire trucker that one out. That's pretty good.
or troll. Like, it gets to a point where I'm 34. I feel like I'm in a playground with grade 2ers. Like, it just, it's exhausting.
That can happen. It is exhausting. Absolutely. Yeah. And you're right. And you know what? I've been guilty. I'm not going to say that I haven't been guilty of taking shots at other teams that are having a rough go, and I'm realizing now I probably should be a little better about that, right?
Well, I mean, there's a difference between, having a good time and poking each other in certain situations. Like, right, like that's just that's fun. That's all in good fun. But there's a very fine line, and I think a lot of people have crossed it many times. So I probably have too, but I've just come to realize how much I actually love the CFL. And I want it to succeed, even like if my team goes 0 whatever. If the league is still together right now, that's all that matters.
That's very, I get it. I'm right with you. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's get into some different topics. Let's get into some free agency. So a couple of weeks ago, we did Choose Your Own Adventure to see who might join the team. We were all wrong, but Superfan still has a chance to get it right with Loeffler in order. I mean, we could do that. I mean, that would be fine. You have a chance still, because Henoch is still out there. So we don't know. Always signs in Ottawa. So I was right, but probably just a year off, really. I mean, we all know how that's going to go, right? Like, as soon as they go to Ottawa, we know they're coming here. Like, that's
you gotta keep your fishing line in the water. That's still.
Right. I was just premonition for next year. That's it.
Yeah.
That's just I like to stay on top of it. I don't know why. That was really stupid on my part. If I saw that there was a linebacker available out of the Red Blacks, I should have said that that's the guy we were going to sign. I mean, stupid. I don't know what I was.
You just picked the wrong bait this year. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'll learn. Lessons learned. Of course, the day after we record last time, Armando Sewell puts out a thank you to Edmonton fans, crushing a lot of us. But later in the week, then he says he's going to be moving east. Obviously, that was in the negotiating window, and then does sign with Montreal. A big loss for us for sure. Both community-wise and team-wise, leadership-wise. Mondo's hands down a Hall of Famer. The one thing that I will say, though, after I read that, was that our defensive line is still really good. Like, would it have been better with him here? Of course. But our defensive line is not bad. And
no, not at all.
The thing, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, is just that money as much as it's upsetting to see a guy like Mondo go and not have him do his whole career as an Edmonton Football Team player, that was pretty close. I got the right team name out of that one, but still, I think like that's really tough. But the money that we saved there, we have upgraded other parts of our team, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I knew that this would be a particularly difficult one for you.
Yeah, it is. I feel it's stupid, but it's very deflating because you have like, you know, a few players that you really bond with, even if it's not like in reality, it's kind of like in your mind, and you just see them play and they've been with the team for so long. And when you do meet them, I think it was mostly not, I've always loved Mondo, but it was in Calgary at Grey Cup. I just saw him wandering around and I was like, Mondo, hey, how are you? He's like, oh, hey, I'm good, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you probably don't know me, but I'm Kayla, blah, 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 from our pod.
Yes.
Can't say that.
From the podcast.
From the podcast.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I know you. I was like, what? Me? No, you don't, silly. But yeah, he knew who I was, and he just like took that moment to talk to me and hang out for a little. Like that meant the world.
Yeah.
There's like nobody, just some crazy fan like I always think they think I am. But he genuinely just knew who I was and was shocked that he didn't think that I would, kind of thing. Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it was just kind of that moment where you're just like, these guys actually care and they pay attention.
Yes.
And for him, especially, like one of my heroes, to say that was so meaningful. And I mean, I completely understand it's business and all that jazz. It's just, you can still have a hard time coping with it and understand the reasons why. And I know that, you know, I'm not sure how much longer he'll be in the league. He might, you know, retire next year or in 2 years, but that gives a chance for some younger guys to come up on our line and start to learn from, you know, the likes of Kwaku and Mike Moore. Like, right.
Well, and that was the thing that I thought, because I know that you've talked with Mike Moore before, and I know that he's, he's another great dude, and really good player. But so I went over that line. So we've got Mike Moore, of course, we've got Earth Kwaku, we've got Jake Serezna, Matthew Betts, Matcha Broda, who is a new guy that's coming up that's getting a lot of talk, Rector as well. And we signed a whole bunch of other defensive linemen that we, you know, who's that guy that, you know, is the guy who's on the practice roster, like Darrell Walker, that we didn't know, and then he starts playing, and next thing you know, you're like, holy cow, right? And younger, cheaper guys, which then we can take that money, and when you take that money and you throw it out to the secondary, which has been our weakest link for a long time, and we're going to talk about how that secondary got good.
Build up.
So I can see where that happens, and then also they went out the next day and signed Sean Lemon and brought in Lemon Drops, who's been one of the most, consistent rush ends in the league. So, I hate it. I hate to see Mondo go, but as you see the rest of this, you're like, okay, I can see we have some wealth in that spot, and we needed to fill up some other spots with some wealth.
Well, that's just it. I mean, all good things come to an end eventually. And if it was retirement, you know, it's the same thing. He would still be a loss to us. Yeah. But in saying that, when you have people like Brock coming in and like really resourcing where that money's going, it'll be hard to stay mad once we go on an undefeated streak.
Whoa, that was very Stampeder Ryan of you there. That was pretty, yeah. Did you go full Valentine there? Oh, no. You didn't say 18-0. You said undefeated streak. Okay, fair. Okay, fair.
I'm right. Cocky, just not that. I'm not stupid.
I'll allow it. All right, let's talk about the guys who came back to our team or joined our team. We just spoke about Sean Lemon. That'll be an interesting add on the D line. The next day, re-signing Sir Vincent Rogers, which kind of blew my mind. I didn't think that we would be able to get him back. And that could be dominant.
Huge.
You could have Derek Dennis on one side and Sir Vincent Rogers on the other. Like, Trevor Harris is going to be able to write full novels before he has to throw the ball. This would be outstanding.
Right? And that's what Mike Riley needed.
Yeah, no kidding. Like,
he would have had his 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Trevor needs 3. So,
right.
So that could be very good. Team then does get back Jordan Hoover and Alexandre Dupuis. All of those, of course, are on 1-year contracts. Then we did pick up Hugh O'Neill comes back, which the beard is back with the punting. His punting has been outstanding. So very excited to have him back for 2 years. And then comes the surprise for me where somebody gets released out of BC. And all of a sudden they're saying, oh, well, they're linking him back to Edmonton. That's right. It is the return of Ron Grimes. Which, the fact that I can say that again is exciting to me.
Oh, the memes are unstoppable.
And that's what we needed. We needed another person with flow.
Yeah, right? I know. It's been lonely without a piece of like hair trails like blending down or going down the sidelines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tackling somebody. Yeah.
Well, and I think there will be lots of fans that will be very excited about that. I know how many people liked Grimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see him in a secondary where he's not having to try and cover for the corner guy and he can actually just play halfback.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I think he could be very good in that position. So I'm definitely excited to see Grimes back. And all of those signings happened before free agency even opened.
Nuts.
Right? Crazy. So our secondary now, what we were talking about before. So remember some of those dollars we were talking about that are now going to the secondary? So we have Jonathan Rose, Forrest Hightower, Jordan Hoover or Bully as your safety, Aaron Grimes, and Jonathan Mincy as a secondary. And you have pressure up front.
Have fun.
Like, we upgraded where we needed to upgrade.
Yeah.
And that part makes me happy.
Well, and in saying that, like, yes, but I need to see them work together as a team still, right?
Of course,
like independently, obviously, independently. I think that's why I'm cautiously optimistic because as players, obviously they can succeed. Coming together with personalities and stuff, I'm holding my breath.
Right. And it'll be a camp thing, right? How is that going to work out? Especially when a lot of them are coming in, like Jonathan Rose worked under Thorpe, I believe. But a lot of the other, maybe Forrest Hyde? No, I don't think so. I think he was before Thorpe was in Ottawa. So just to see how they all blend under Thorpe as well, right?
Yeah, so, yeah. As long as Thorpe can maintain the control of the personalities and get a grip on possible egos. Not,
right.
Right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I think like any team, it can be successful. So.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be very, very interesting to see how that blends out for sure. Now, free agency day opens, and we knew we were probably looking for a linebacker and a running back. Early on, news comes that they have signed Kevin Brown, linebacker, out of Ottawa. It's a huge shocker whenever we sign somebody out of Ottawa. So we've never done that before.
Never.
No.
This is strange.
Does there come a time? Now, this is I want to be clear because we just said to not be taking pokes at other fan bases, but this is completely a joke. But is it? When do we start calling Ottawa our farm team? Because we just keep bringing everybody from there here. I don't maybe they need to actually change the name to the Green Golds. Then it just makes more sense. We have Red Blacks, Green Golds. That all right. I think Brock is running out of people that he knew in Ottawa now. So that may not happen. The
carousel's getting emptier and emptier.
That's right. Yeah, there's less people going around that Ferris wheel. Can't bring the more off. Okay. Now, Kevin Brown does sign later in the day is when it becomes official for 1 year. exciting to have a guy who already knows Thorpe's system coming in to join in, and obviously at a little less price than some of the other linebackers out there. And I think that should be a good balance. And then I know I was saying to Mike on that day, I'm like, okay, so now we just need a running back. And then I got a text message from him about an hour later. Well, there's your running back. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he sent me the tweet that we have signed James Wilder Jr. coming back out of retirement.
Yeah.
To play with the green and gold. That is an interesting move.
Yeah, I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall in that conversation.
I agree. Now, I mean, it's a 1-year deal. My gut tells me that it's fairly incentive laden.
Yeah.
And we shall see. I mean, the thing is I remember watching him in that Grey Cup in 2016. Was it? I believe in Ottawa. It might have been 16 in Ottawa. Right? 17. Oh my goodness, I'm getting them all mixed up.
I know we lost the year,
he was in Ottawa, and that's what's throwing me off. I can't seem to get my years straight anymore because we've lost this year of playing. But I remember before the game started, and he's running around the field without a shirt on, and I'm like, dude, it's like minus a million, and it's snowing. What are you doing? And then of course the Argos ended up winning that one. And the next day I was hanging out with my good friend Argo Diva, Lori Bursey, and we were at the mall, and James was there, and of course Lori knows all the players, and so he came over to say hello, and I got to meet him, and just such a humble dude. Like,
really?
So I know he doesn't act that way on the field, and he does not act that way on Twitter. But just talking to him, like he was a really nice dude. And so if I hadn't had that interaction with this signing, I might have been like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I had that. I'm like, okay. So I'm kind of excited to see what he can do. And I'm also excited to see what happens when he's behind this particular O-line, which is shaping up to be very good. The guy is a big back that can catch out of the backfield. So I'm not going to complain about it. I want to see what he can do out on the field. And you know, with the other guys that we have hanging around between Jordan Robinson and Alex Taylor. And I think we might be able to have some different speeds there coming out of the back. And that's exciting.
I'm hoping so. I really am. And the fact that Jordan came back, I'm just elated, right?
Of course, yeah.
Maybe we can have Mama back, too.
I hope so. I hope we need to get her on the pod.
Mama Robinson, come back.
Come visit us, Mama Robinson. We miss you. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So we did that. Then we got to, there was a quarterback signing, Taylor Cornelius. Now, the only thing that I know about this guy is that he was with Chuba Hubbard in Oklahoma State. Sounds like, I mean, it's obviously we have a lot of youth behind Trevor Harris right now. I know Dave Campbell put out a tweet about that today. It looks like that's what we're going to go into camp with. We're going to have just 3 or 4 young guys behind him, and who's going to step up? And is Jeremiah Briscoe ready to take that next step to be the backup? The kid's got an arm. Let's see what happens. But it's
very interesting.
Yeah. And we'll all be hoping that O-line is as good as we want so that Harris doesn't get hurt. Yeah. That'd be very important.
Please.
Now, we did also have defensive back Afolabi Laguda opt back into his CFL contract with the Edmonton Football Team. I did not even know that we had that guy, and he opted out. So this was all news to me. So welcome back.
Yeah, where'd you go?
It's exciting. Yeah, exactly. We were also able to sign national kicker Dante Brown, who we drafted in the 5th round of the 2020 draft. And then we wrapped it up with the return of receiver Kenny Shaw coming back to the team. So it seems like we've basically filled all the holes. Now, there's still some guys out there, and we'll talk about this in a second, that maybe we might still look at. But I think we've kind of got a pretty solid roster going into what would be our training camp, hopefully in May or June.
Yeah, that looks really interesting. I'm just hoping we can actually go to training camp at some point too, because this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
A year without football, right? Like,
yeah.
What is that going to do for the guys?
I agree. Some will be good, some maybe not so good. We'll have to see. Yeah.
Bit rusty.
Possibly, yes. One thing I did want to mention, I noticed that Ottawa released John Crockett, running back. I was really surprised that he did not end up here. Like, really surprised. Not only because the Ottawa connection, I get that, but just he's a quick back and already has some starting experience. I mean, James Wilder Jr. is, don't get me wrong, I'm quite happy with that, but I was very surprised that Crockett didn't land here. So who knows? Maybe down the road that is your backup at some point. Like, I just wanted to mention the name.
Well, I mean, could be invited to camp regardless, right?
Could be, absolutely. There is no salary cap until you get to the first week of games, right? So
exactly.
You can have lots of guys around, and then you only have to worry about being compliant with the cap once you get into actual game time, which is going to be really important as we talk about some other teams.
Yes. Right? You know, holy schmoly.
It's so funny. Language. My goodness, look at you guys. I laugh because every year, and I used to do this as well until I understood it more. Every year you've got that one team that everybody keeps saying, well, how are they doing that under the cap? There's no way. They're going to be way over the cap. It's never going to And then you're like, no, because it doesn't, at this point, it doesn't specifically matter. Like, it matters down. I mean, if they're giving guaranteed money, it matters. If you're giving a bunch of signing bonuses, that adds up. But obviously, if you're just, you don't have to worry about the specifics until you get into actual game times, then it should be okay. So let's talk about some other teams because there were some interesting moves. Of course, we'll just go east and work our way west. So in Montreal, of course, they bagged the big prize in Mondo, who will instantly make that defensive line better. No doubt about it. They also pick up offensive lineman Jason Lauzon-Seguin from Ottawa. So great offensive lineman. I think that would help them for sure. Chris Aki comes back to Montreal, who's a national at the at linebacker position. They also get Nate Ajay, who's going to join Mondo there, and I'm glad that Nate landed somewhere. And actually, Montreal and Ottawa kind of both made sense for me because I know even Laurie again said this, is that at least in those ones on a bye week he can drive home. Well,
exactly, and I'm not mad at Montreal because I've never, I've had that team support for a couple years now. So the fact that Mondo and Nate both went there, I'm like, I can't be too mad. It wasn't the other green and it wasn't red. So
that's all we're worried about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Plus, when he comes here, he'll still say hi. That's important.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Rose.
And they also signed Patrick Levels as well. So that'll help their defense. I
can't help. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. I was just going to say it helps their defense. I know that was a guy that we were talking about. Maybe we could bring him in here, but I think that'll be a good ad for Montreal.
Which sucks because we could have definitely sang the Level song by that one Jonas brother. Because I love that song.
That's why you wanted it, was so that we could sing that song.
Yes.
Fantastic. Exactly. Okay, well, it's good to know that's when
my priorities.
When you talk to Brock next, can you say, "Can you please get this guy because we need it for the song?"
Yeah. Don't worry, just be me singing because I'm the only one that gets it.
Oh, I got it. I have children that like that song. It's good.
All right. You're on the board. We have to do the dance too.
Okay. Is that what we have? Okay. I'm watching you do it now and it's wonderful. Not a video podcast, but trust me, it's cool. Okay. Dope. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Pretty dope, Brad.
Pretty dope, Brad. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Let's move over to Ottawa, who they re-signed Don Unamba. We know all about Unamba here, and I think he is a good add to them. They pick up national receiver Daniel Peterman, which would be a good pickup for them on their receiving core. And they do steal from us in Stephon Charles, who was here as a defensive tackle. He was a pick for us, I believe, in 2015, I want to say. And played down in the States for a bit. We were very excited when he got up here. I think it'll be a great ad out there in Ottawa for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Toronto, they just decided to sign everyone. Exactly. Yeah.
Dishing it out.
That was the team that everybody said, like, they're just, how are they under that? Well, it doesn't matter right now.
Just drop the pinball on them and poof.
Yeah, let's go over some of the big names they got here. Charleston Hughes.
Yes.
Yep. Odell Willis. Yeah. They traded with Calgary to end up and then signing Cordero Law on the defensive line, Eric Rogers as a receiver, Antonio, or shall we say, Pipkin, yes, and then John White as well. Like they loaded up, and then even before this happened, I missed this whole step where there was the unofficial quarterback trade when the roster bonuses were due, and Ottawa releases Nick Arbuckle. The Argos release Matt Nichols, and they end up switching places. And Arbuckle ends up in Toronto, and Nichols ends up in Ottawa. So that makes a huge difference too, to see how that will all play out. Because of course Nichols knows the system coming over to Ottawa, and of course, and then Arbuckle is reunited with Dinwiddie in Toronto. So very interesting stuff. That's just kind of everybody shuffling around, right? Yeah, exactly. So, which probably helps why Eric Rogers then ended up signing in Toronto, because now he knows the quarterback with Arbuckle there. So that could be very interesting. I thought Toronto did really good things to improve lots of parts of their team. And like we said, they can make some cuts as it comes in through training camp to see who ends up where.
So then Pipkin would be the backup?
I believe so right now. That is what it seems to be the plan. Yeah, or at least challenging for the backup spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go, Great Pipkin!
The Great Pipkin. All right, let's slide over to Hamilton, where they pick up Ciante Evans. They also pick up Javon Santos Knox, which, I mean, that's just the rich getting richer right there.
Well, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever.
That's how you feel. Okay, that's good. Winnipeg. Do you want me to skip Winnipeg? Because they really only signed one person.
I know. I don't know. I don't know if I should talk about it or not.
Well,
I haven't.
I think what we need to do is we just need to say, welcome back to Canada, Batman. And what
do I do with my name? What do I do with my name?
It's fine. You're still the commissioner to us. You'll always be the commissioner to us.
I lost the bat and I lost the Robin.
It's true. But it's okay, because you continue on. You continue on in your commissioner role to make sure that the team is still doing what it's supposed to do. That's your role. It's perfect.
Let's just say that was the greatest decline of
the week. Yeah.
I should be happy. I know I should be happy because he's back, but at the same time, it's just like, but like that.
Well, he'll play a big role in that offense, I think. I think that'll be much more likely that he sees the ball in Winnipeg than he would here, I think. Just with the receiving core that we have here, I think it's a good move for him. Winnipeg needed that explosive receiver, and he's the guy. And I hope that he does well against every other team that isn't green and gold. Right.
And I mean, once football, it's so different seeing it now playing out versus actually seeing it on the field, like having football again, because it's at that point where you want players to succeed that you've actually like grown to like and stuff like that. But right now, I don't have to feel that way because football hasn't started, so his success can't get any better.
That's perfect. Good cover. I like that. Yeah. Okay.
It's the best I can do right now.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Saskatchewan may have also had a few people saying, how are they staying under the cap? Because they signed a few people as well, some bigger names. Evan Johnson, they picked up. They also brought in Larry Dean to be a middle linebacker. Justin and Jordan Herdman Reed, one of our also fan and pod favorites, Godfrey Onyeka, and they bring back Micah Johnson as well out of BC. So they did a lot of work on that defense. I think it's those are all pretty good moves.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Right. Oh, sure.
It's just a bit.
I don't know. I think we did all right too, so I'm not really too,
Oh yeah,
too
for sure.
worried.
Well, that's what's bad when everybody else does well too. You're like, oh crap.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Yeah, you weren't supposed to do well. What the heck?
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, exactly. Calgary, as usual, was quiet on the free agent front, but they did sign Canadian quarterback Michael O'Connor out of the Toronto. So that's exciting, and he'll likely battle in that backup spot behind Bo Levi for sure. Mm-hmm. BC brings back Bo Lacumbo, and then they were able to pick up Lucky Whitehead and Shaq Cooper. So there is some dynamic speed between the two of those.
Heck yeah.
Shaq Cooper, I'd be curious to see how he does out there because he's a speedy back and he's very shifty and we lots of things that we liked about him for that.
Yep.
I wonder over the last year if he's learned to improve on that blocking game because the one thing that BC needs to have is a great blocking back. Yeah. And if he can be better at that, I mean, I think he'd be great at the running back position to help lay off some pressure off of Mike. But I'm curious to see how that plays out with his blocking.
Well, I'm wondering, too, if he would be battling against Lucky for the position.
I think Lucky's more receiving and then returning, right? So he'll be more on that side of things. But, again, they add a lot of speed to their team. So, that for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Some big news again on that same day. Solomon Elimimian announces his retirement. Elimimian has been a force as a linebacker in this league for many years. Yep. I'm excited that he's in his CFLPA role because I think he'll do very good things there. And, and I mean, as much as he was never on my team, I mean, I could always respect the fact that there's some amazing talent there.
Oh, absolutely. Do you think he'd be off to the Hall of Fame?
I think there'll be a question for it for sure.
Yeah.
I think at some point, yes. I mean, he did so much in BC that you can't ignore it for sure. Yeah. The biggest issue was just he had the injuries that kind of caught up to him, but when he's on the field, he was scary good. Yeah. So he's
the only bobblehead that I have.
Yeah. That's not a bad one to have.
No.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Respect.
Also at a Calgary, Shane Bergman and I can't remember his first name, Erdos, both retire, both offensive linemen with Calgary. So that'll make some shuffle on that O-line. Should be kind of interesting as they get into camp there as well. Now, there is some free agents still available. One of them being our giant friend, Matt O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Everything in me right now is saying that he ends up in Calgary.
Yeah, well, especially with two retirees.
Right.
Very high.
As long as because he won't ever be the highest paid in this position. I know the Horsemen have said that many times. That's what Huff says, is you'll never be the highest paid, but you will, have a chance at success. And it's not far from home, right? It's easy for him to travel up. So that's one thing that I'm just thinking of. Justin Tuggle still available, as he was, of course, we signed him last year, so he's hanging out. I don't know where he'll end up for sure. We talked about Enoch Mwamba and Taylor Loeffler being available. Cameron Judge out of Saskatchewan still available, and I'm wondering what might happen with him, being that he's national as well. Mm-hmm. Dion Lacey's still hanging around on the list, which is kind of an interesting one. McLeod Bethel Thompson and Justin Medlock. So there are some names on that list. Not sure how many dollars are left for these guys. So
hard to say, but I mean, anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Especially during camp.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that might be when we see that, is when somebody gets hurt and then this is the guy that's coming in, right? So,
yep.
Let's shift gears for a second to talk about the schedule. And before we get there, I guess I'm going to ask you, your gut right now, will we have a season and when will it start?
I don't know what my gut says.
Okay.
I feel, I don't know if it's just that I want it to happen, but I feel yes. I think if they haven't come up with any sort of plan in this year, I think it's a very bad news for the CFL in general.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. And I think a lot of people are saying right now they figure that the season will be shortened and it will start in September, like August, September. That's kind of what what I've seen a lot of is that. I don't know. You know, when they had that conversation with Chris Presson and he said they had all of those different plans for different seating ability. Yeah. Now, he didn't say one where there is no fans. He didn't say that he didn't specifically say that, but I'm wondering if they start the season with no fans and then build as they can throughout the season. I mean, I would be okay with that. Well, maybe part of it is my positive attitude is please let that be what's happening.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just so that we can get something back and get to watch some stuff. But I think if we were going to go based solely on, okay, they have to have some people in the stands, then I tend to agree. I think it's probably going to be that August, September that we start rolling things out, because that's when, you know, we'll likely have a lot more people vaccinated.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I'd be like, what are the benefits then of starting later and having shortening games? Is it strictly because this is seat driven and they need the fans in the stands? Right. Or what? Because like you said, if the first half of the season is maybe no fans and just televised and move over, or if they're actually just going to start with fans in the seats in August, September, right? So,
right. And what percent is that going to be? Like, that's the thing. Is it going to be 50% capacity? Is it going to be 30% capacity? Is it going to be 80% capacity? I mean, I don't think so, but I just wonder. I don't know how that all plays out, right? So,
right. Well, in some stadiums, it's easier to do that, right? Like in Commonwealth and Mosaic, they're much bigger than, say, in Calgary. So you have those options of having maybe an easier time fitting more fans, even if it's like say 20%, you still have more fans capable of sitting in the seats. It's just, and there's more entryways too, right? Like they can start opening up more of those entrances that they don't normally have on game days, maybe to help alleviate some of the lineups. But at this point in time, I'm just like, take my money and let me sit in the stands and let me cheer on football. I'm pretty sure we all feel that way.
Yeah. Oh, I think there's a fair number of us that feel that way. I think there's also some of us that are like, well, it's great. I could go back, but I don't really feel comfortable yet. We'll have to see how that plays out. And how are they going to do things in the stadium? Because it's fine when you get to your seats. Like, I agree with you. We could space out and all those types of things, but how do you navigate the concourse? How do you figure out bathrooms? How do you do all that when there's only so many spaces you could do that? Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure. Yeah. There's a lot of logistics they have to figure out.
Well, for sure, but they've already had different leagues and stuff having to start, like in the NFL too. Like, why don't try to see how they did it where there was 20,000 fans at Super Bowl, right?
Which is, it blows my mind.
How did you do that?
That was in Florida, so
and they don't really have much regulations. But I mean, in saying that, you can still take some pointers and like, how do other places do it too, right? Like, how does Costco do it?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Lineups all the time.
Disneyland lineups. That's going to be fun. Yeah.
Like it's doable, and like I said, they've had a year to develop, and from those interviews, Presson apparently has some logistical ideas. Yeah. So I doubt that he would just keep it under wraps. It's probably CFL wide. So I mean, there's going to be alternatives of alternatives.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, and we probably won't hear much about it until likely the end of April as we get kind of closer to do we need guys coming up? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Our schedule, as it stands at this particular moment, interesting schedule. We have all of the West teams 3 times, but we do have Calgary and BC 1 extra because, of course, we have them in preseason. Which that's what we want, right? Is to play Calgary 4 times.
Yay!
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe we'll beat them. We'll see. Yeah. Hey, you know what? If we can split the series, I'm quite happy.
Right?
Sure.
I would just like to win on their turf.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Once.
Yeah, exactly.
At least.
Yeah.
Labor Day.
I'll take it. Yeah. We only see Ottawa and Montreal once. Ottawa does not make the trip out west. Montreal does, which now as we see some of the free agent signings that we just talked about is, I guess that's okay because, maybe we'll get to see Mondo and Nate.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too upset about that. And plus it'll be fun when we beat them. I mean, that's exciting.
Yep.
I was hoping that you would have that response.
I just always have like flashbacks of like several years ago that Montreal beat us on our home turf every single time.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like a bit of postpartum. Or not postpartum.
Postmortem, maybe? Is that the
post-traumatic syndrome?
Okay, that's what it is. All right then. That's like, wow, you've really been busy in this quarantine that I didn't know about. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think I've really been off Twitter?
Yeah, no, let's change topics. Okay. We have lots of back-to-backs this year. Winnipeg, we have them first on June 25th and July 3rd, assuming that we are playing at that point. Then the next 2 weeks right after that, we play Saskatchewan, July 17th and 23rd. So we have a bye week in between there, but then we've got two back-to-backs that are huge, especially with Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. Yeah. Then, of course, we've got the Calgary Labor Day and Labor Day rematches. And then, so our bye weeks are week 5, 10, and 17. So it's actually a fairly nice spread for us if the schedule goes as planned.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, too, they must have a backup schedule for if they do cut it, the league or the games in half. Like, you wouldn't just start at Labor Day and do like that half, right? Like, you would have to you would think you'd have to rearrange a bit.
Yeah, I would think so. What I think would probably happen, and I remember us talking about this last year, was that if they have to go with shortened season, it might be only the West plays West and the East plays East. Yeah. And then you just kind of combine together and away we go. And I mean, who knows? It could be a 2-hub city thing. It could be a 1-hub city. If we have to do it that, like, who knows, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's lots of different options still, fairly early on to start worrying about that. We'll see if we can start in May 1st and then go from there. I've already booked off the 2 weeks that should be training camps, so I'm hoping it'll happen. I can just sit and find out more about all these guys. Yeah.
Well, let's face it, training camp was never that busy anyway, so
that's right.
We can go in the stands. Look, come on.
It's so exciting. Come on. Like, just 3 people. It's fine. We're good. Yeah. We won't say anything. We'll just stay over here with our masks on. We'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah. Sit in separate sections completely. Correct. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll talk. We have texting. It's fine.
Yeah. Texting. I yell.
Yes, you do. Yeah, that's why we love you. Yeah. Well, this was fun, Kayla. Thank you for sitting and chatting just with me.
Yeah, it's all right. Hey.
So we did. I think we did all right.
I think so. Yeah.
Overall. Yeah. Before we go too far, I do want to say that this episode is also brought to you all by the great shows on the Alberta Podcast Network. And this week we're going to throw a shout out to Emily Missed Out. It's hosted by Emily and Brianne, and they take in pop culture filled movie classics that Emily has never seen. Then they decide if she actually missed out or not so much. I want to give an extra shout out too to Brianne, because this week she actually caught a few spots that weren't updated on our social, and so it was easy for me to make those changes. So thank you for that. Now, that show itself, they did recently cover Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and John Wick Chapter 1, and to which both of them I say, you missed those?
Well, I was just going to say, what?
So I would say it's fair to say that she missed out on those ones. Would you agree?
A half. I'm a point for, because obviously Indiana Jones. Yeah,
yes. Come on.
But John Wick is still in my to watch arsenal. I know.
Oh, so Kayla might have missed out.
No, I'm not. I'm in waiting.
Okay. All right. Well, I will expect a full report, and then we will give that back to Emily after. That's very good. So,
had to be honest.
So find Emily Missed Out everywhere you find podcasts, or of course on the Alberta Podcast Network at albertapodcastnetwork.com. There we go. Make sure you also check out the History Wrangler shows. They're coming out on Friday on Facebook and on his website. Mike wrote all of the great history pieces. We kind of took turns reading them out, and we are going to be making more of that show soon. And there's a hint that it may actually even go a little bit international, which would be kind of neato.
Ooh.
Well, look at that. Oh, the Turf District goes everywhere.
Spread your wings, fellas.
Oh, we're getting you involved this next time. You don't get to. You get to be part of this now. It's gonna be
My
fun.
wings are spread.
That's well. I'm gonna just not.
No.
Title of the podcast. Okay. Make sure you follow Pay It Forward with Football on Facebook and Twitter for all the great things they are doing. And of course, lots of great shows coming out from the CFPN days these days, especially catching up on all of the free agency stuff. I know we talked about some of the teams in general, but get in there and listen to all their other stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can find them on cfpodnetwork.ca. Of course, where did they find you online there, Miss Commissioner?
Well, they can try. I can't promise they'll actually find.
It's fair.
I have a handle. It's
Excellent.
used sometimes. No, it's kidding.
Okay. Yes. So
You can find me on Twitter at Duchess Lombardi.
Perfect. And make sure you follow Superfan Mike at 56 Parkies because he is amazing with all of his history and all of the things about the Edmonton football team. You can find the show. You can join in our huddle. Everywhere is the Turf District. You can find that on Twitter, on Facebook in a group and a page. And you can also find it on Instagram. That is mostly run by the commissioner herself, which is exciting. Because you do lots of fun, like, story things that I have no idea what you're doing.
Oh, no, there's not that interesting. I should try to make it a little bit more so.
Oh, fancy pictures. I'm all right with that. It's all good.
I can't wait to get my camera back out in that field.
Oh, me too. Exactly. We will be back in a couple of weeks to talk any new signings that might happen. And we're going to try and catch up with some of these new players for you over the next little while. Kind of get you introduced to the people before we see them on the field. So for Commissioner K and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you in 2 weeks.